want to shift gears one more time to a match that I was pretty pumped about. Gotham FC hosting Washington Spirit. This one went down Sunday. I think they moved the kickoff time back a little bit to combat some of the heat.
Yep.
Washington looked pretty solid. I think they probably shelled out some extra cash for the quiet car and those first class Acela tickets because they looked nice and rested and just mentally prepared to take on this Gotham side.
I mean, you were right on it. You told people to look out for a Rodman game. To everybody watching the show, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. That's why you watch the show, for those kind of nuggets from Dino. He's out here dropping. You knew it. You're a seer. You're a soothsayer. You saw that Rodman was going to have a game. And I think we just talked about it. On the very short list of teams you don't want to play on short rest, Washington Spirit is right there. The intelligence of Bethune, the quickness of Sarr and Rodman, and their playmaking ability, the fact that they never make anything easy on you. As it started to play out, silly red card and refereeing decisions aside, that almost felt a little bit, and please tell me if I'm doing revisionist history or like benefit of hindsight here. It felt a little bit like a scheduled loss, but it's a scheduled loss because the Spirit are so damn good, and you wish you had a more level playing field against a squad like that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went back and forth a little bit in my head. I was like, all right, well, is Washington this good, or is this Gotham's second game in 5 nights?
Right.
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Probably.
But I probably would lean towards Washington is this good. I think they are kind of the better team. Gotham sorely missed Lynn Williams and Esther Gonzalez, managing just 2 shots on target. Even still with a solid lineup of creative players, active and available, to just kind of have those 2 on target, that's really tough. I did kind of want to get a little bit into Corey Bethune. So she has that run early. I mean, she's basically not even a supercomputer. She's a quantum computer at this point. I mean, her brain is just operating at a different level. So in that first run, she draws 3 defenders, even though Courtney Brown is running as free as can be, just right down the middle of the park, just totally unmarked. 3 on Bethune, who still finds a way to get the ball to Brown. 1 touch and fire from Brown, 1-0 Spirit. They're off and running.
The way she curled that pass around those 3 defenders directly into the path of Brown, I don't know. I mean, you can't say enough about this young player. I did my very sports radio talk in a soft voice and then compare her to some of the great players in the game. I stand by it. I mean, as much stock as we could possibly buy. We started buying it early. Just keep on buying it. I mean, it's maturing very nicely. She's already, like we talked about, we put her in our MVP mix. She's absolutely one of the best players in the league right now, today.
Yep.
And there's not a good argument against it.
Not at all. On the second goal. So the second goal featured a pass that might have been even better than the first pass.
Mm-hmm.
So Bethune jukes Delaney Sheehan pretty much halfway off the screen, slices a ball ahead to Casey Kruger that dissects Crystal Dunn, Mandy Freeman with basically 6 inches on each side, just like the narrowest of margins. Perfect ball, travels 20 plus yards on the ground. And not only does it hit Kruger in stride, but it also reroutes her to like a more direct path towards the goal. Like Kruger's like kind of like looping in a kind of a roundabout way. Bethune puts the ball. It's like, oh, no, bring it back in. Maybe 3-4 touches from there from Kruger. She finds Rodman. Your boy was all over it. I think I wasn't sure if it was this match or the KC match where you suggested that the groundskeeper battened down the the hatches on the goalposts.
Yeah,
that Rodman one was top 2 this weekend. We'll get into the other contender, but that one was she detonated on that one.
Casey Kruger has been awesome on this team. And you're totally right about the way, very Patrick Mahomes-esque of like, no, I need you to go this way. And Casey Kruger, very Travis Kelce, like, oh, yeah, I got you. And then I'm going to do the perfect, amazing thing to get where I need to go. I mean, Kruger carries the ball on that play 30 plus yards, 40 yards, whatever it is. She's just been awesome. With Kruger and Gabby Carl back there, I think Tara McCown has been really good this year too. Like they just got a lot of stars on this team. Like actual like Bethune and Rodman and Sarr, we might be talking superstar players. I think with Rodman that's established. With Bethune, she's walking right into that. I think, with Sarr as well. But we have superstars, and then we have also players who are stars in their role. I didn't even mention Andy Sullivan yet.
Mm-hmm.
We got a title race, buddy.
We got a title race, and I definitely have to correct you. Croy Bethune is absolutely a star.
Right now.
She is absolutely in the conversation of best player in the NWSL. I mean, I think she's creeping up that MVP ballot in a very, very legit way. I mean, if this team wins the Shield and Bethune she's having the best season for the Spirit side, she's automatically a top 3, top 4 candidate, just based on what she's doing. And I think you were on this a couple weeks ago. She is the hub of the offense.
Yeah.
Like, they're looking to find her very quickly, as evidenced by that second goal. And I totally co-signed the Kruger point. She's been awesome. We mentioned this as well. She knows what she's got up front.
Yeah.
So for her, it's grab, go. And she's the kind of player that knows that the path to winning is finding one of those awesome attacking players in stride with something very clean. And that's exactly what happened. I think at this point, we've had a lot of Olympics discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Can Emma Hayes keep Croy Bethune off this roster?
As an uncapped player, and I was also just glancing at the roster again because I knew I left somebody off. We haven't even said the name Hal Hirschfeld yet. Mm-hmm. Another rookie who's playing fantastic, who was on the main roster these last set of friendlies, while Bethune was one of those like training players for those South Korea matches. I always say, and I've said it for a long time watching football, is that your club form has to matter when you select the national team. It's one of my great pet peeves when national team managers are like, well, this player's played well for us in past tournaments. And I'm just like, okay, what about the player who is playing great and in super form right now?
Yeah.
God, I mean, she's uncapped. So it's a thing. It's not nothing that she hasn't played real minutes with the rest of the team. I just don't know how you leave her off. She's too good. Like you're saying, like she's one of the best players in one of the best leagues. The
other thing is that it's not like she's a player. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but sometimes we see players that kind of right place, right time.
Yeah.
They're on good teams. They're on super teams, a lot of poachers type goals.
Sure.
So they rack up good, impressive numbers. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing somebody like mentally dominating the game, physically dominating the game. I mean, I'm going to go one more cross-sport comparison. She kind of reminds me of Luka in the sense that she goes at her own speed. She sees the entire field. She knows what everybody's going to do. She totally baited everybody into following her away from goal to kind of open up that space for Brown, and then has the skills to slide that pass through 4 legs, because like 2 of the defenders were sort of positioned in between Bethune and Brown.
Yeah.
And no chance. Going at that speed, you already know the ball's going to find its way to Brown, and she's able to cash in. And like that's essentially the game. I thought that was one more kind of cool moment. 90th minute, Aubrey Kingsbury, sort of a statement save on the Katie Stengel PK, who knew where it was going, had a beat on it, and maybe wanted to send a message a little bit. To me, it kind of feels like Gotham FC is kind of covered a little bit like the Yankees or the Lakers. It's like, oh, well, we already know that, this team, like kind of sleeping giant. And it's like, all right, they're good. They look good when they look good. But at their best, they don't look a cut above any of these other 3 big time contenders.
That's fair.
I think at their best, they could be at the level, but kind of felt like wanted to make a statement. And I think they really soaked up that moment of being like, we came to your house and red card aside, we didn't give you anything. You got nothing.
I love it. I mean, who doesn't get hype about a saved PK? That's like a piece of information players put in the back of their mind moving forward too, where it's just like, okay, we know Aubrey's got us back there when we need it. I think it's just going to be a matter of how often are they going to need it with the offensive firepower and the way they're able to hold the ball and kind of play that style. So, yeah, weird one for Gotham. Short week. You get the red card on just kind of a set of bizarre circumstances. I don't think if you're Gotham, I mean, you're right now, you're 4th in the table. You're 4 points behind the Spirit. It's definitely not panic time. There's a long way to go. You're going to get Lynn Williams back. You're going to get Astaire back. So you don't love this one because you're going to need some wins against kind of that top 6 to really maneuver yourself on the table. But it was the Spirit's day, and they celebrated as such.
Yeah, I think that's on point. One last thing on this match. Leanne Sanderson, shout out to Leanne. She was on it as well. Katie Stengel had a chance early that she sort of knocked around a little bit rather than taking first time. And Leanne really got on her. She's like, you got to be ruthless out there. You're just like very on brand. But it was very prescient, because it was a chance. The window closed. Obviously, you mentioned no Esther, no Lynn Williams. You got to take those opportunities, especially on short rest. You got to kind of steal a goal here, get a big save on the other end, and turn it into a little bit of a scrap. That chance for Stengel dissipates. And I think it was like maybe 7 or 8 minutes later when Brown gets on the board, and you really felt it's kind of like a 2-goal swing. Not that, Stengel's going to finish it, but she turns a half chance into a zero of a chance. So I thought Leanne was really on point there.
She knows how to be ruthless and take her chances. The legend herself. I mean, you got to take that seriously. Yeah, rough night for Stengel. Later gets the PK saved. But, you're going to have some of those from time to time. It wasn't really much of a Lavelle game, which I think you got to credit the spirit in that too. So they'll keep it moving. They're going to get their players back. I'm really interested to see how they treat the Olympic break. We should credit Sandra Herrera from CBS on this, but what we shall call the Copa de Fuego, or would it maybe be just Copa Fuego? I'm not sure what. Copa de Sol, I think, was one of the other names that she threw out. But the NWSL Liga MX Cup, or whatever, like the super long name they gave it.
Fire Cup.
I'm very interested to see how Gotham FC manages those matches, and with the Olympics and them having so many U.S. women's national team players on there. So a long way to go for Gotham. Nothing to be ashamed of yet. But on the flip side, I think if you're Washington, you take a lot from this and say, okay, we can go into those buildings and win these matches.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that point. Big win for Washington. If you're Gotham, keep it moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's jump ahead to the third team in that top 3 mix. Maybe the first team in that top 1 mix, depending on how you look at it. Kansas City Current.